A good amount of players in the NFL are currently on a different team than the one they started on. But what if every player had to stay with the first team they signed with? Well, today, I put every single NFL player back on the original team they were on. And over the next few years, we're gonna see what happens with the NFL now that nobody ever left their first team. Now, obviously, some teams got much worse, some got much better, and it's actually gonna be my job to save the lowest overall team, the Chicago Bears. Not exactly the team I expected to be the worst, but looking at this receiving core, I definitely understand. But I'm gonna go over every team and show the major players that are returning to their former teams. We'll see who the best and worst teams are for this first year, and then we'll see what happens over the next 5 years to see how everything else shakes out, and who the best and worst teams are over these 5 years. But super quick, this is something I've done before, and it really seemed like y'all enjoyed it the last time I did it. It's one of the most popular videos on the channel, and we got to like 4,500 likes or something, which is insane. But be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoy it. Sounds stupid, but it really does help out the channel. This took a lot of time to set up, so be sure to leave a like on the video. I would appreciate it. And let's see if we can get to, 4,500 likes is probably a crazy goal, but so I'm gonna say whatever the most liked comment on this video is. If we can get 4,500 likes, it'll let me know y'all want me to do that. So be sure to go down, like any ideas you see. Let me know what you would want to see me do on the channel. Maybe you have an idea similar to this. Be sure to let me know down in the comments. And then very last thing, this is finally my 60,000 subscriber special. So thank you all so much for that. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Because if you like Madden rebuilds / experiments like this, that's literally all I do on the channel. But without further ado, let's get into this. I'm excited. And let me go over these rosters. Again, I think I said in the last one, feel free to skip this if you want to, because it's just going to be looking at rosters, but also like this is the whole point of this video, so I don't know why you would skip it, but let me go over every team and the players that they regain. Not every player, but the notable players. So the Chicago Bears, our team that we're going to have to fix, they regain some interesting players, the best one being Roquan Smith. They also get David Montgomery, Charles Leno, for better or for worse, Justin Fields after a few months of being gone, James Daniels, Leonard Floyd. Oh, and I'll show every team's starting quarterback. So we're going to have a quarterback competition here, I guess. Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. No spoilers, but I think we're going to start Caleb Williams because Justin Fields is unbelievably terrible in this game. But the Bengals regain Jesse Bates, who's one of the better players that rejoined their old team. They also get Kevin Zeitler back, Joe Mixon after a few months. They actually don't get too many players. Andrew Billings, Andy Dalton as the backup. Their QB room is interesting. The Bills regain Wyatt Teller, Stephon Gilmore, Devin Singletary, Trey White, Tremaine Edmonds. The Broncos get Justin Simmons back and Bradley Chubb. This defense could be nice. Oh yeah, they also get Von Miller back. He's 35, but that's still an upgrade, I guess. They also get Jerry Jeudy, Khalif Raymond, who I forgot was here, and they're going to be stuck with Bo Nix, which I guess that's better than Drew Lock. Oh, and I forgot to show the highest overall teams. I was going to do that before the rosters, but I'll just do it after. There are 3 teams that are tied for the highest. A couple of them are maybe predictable, but one of them is a little surprising. But the Browns regain Jabril Peppers. That's bad timing, I guess. They regain Baker Mayfield, which is going to be really interesting to see how he does. But they don't really regain many players. Could be rough for them here. Kind of the same deal with the Buccaneers, too. They get Sean Murphy-Bunting and Carlton Davis back, and they are going to be starting Jameis Winston at QB. They also have Josh Johnson. Maybe Kyle Trask can become the starter at some point. I doubt it, but maybe. The Cardinals actually get a few good players back. Hassan Reddick, Calais Campbell at 38, but he's still good. Christian Kirk, which this is a solid receiving core now. The Chargers get, honestly, one of the most upgraded position groups, getting Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back. They also get Austin Eckler and Hunter Henry. And the Chiefs get Tyreek Hill back. They also get L'Jarius Sneed. The Colts get Bobby Okereke, Malik Hooker, Isaiah Rodgers, which is interesting. They lose Joe Flacco, so they're going to be back to Anthony Richardson, who hasn't looked great this year before he got hurt. So we'll have to see if he can develop. But the Commanders get Trent Williams back, Kendall Fuller, Montez Sweat, Brandon Scherf, Morgan Moses, Cam Curl, Chase Young, and oh yeah, Kirk Cousins is going to be back. Same with Sam Howell, so I'm assuming Jaden Daniels is just going to take over after this this year for Kirk, but it'll be interesting to see how he does in this first year. The Cowboys bring Tyron Smith back, Charvarius Ward, which is interesting, Tony Pollard, Chidobe Awuzie. They actually get some pretty good additions. Connor Williams, Dalton Schultz, Xavier Woods. The Dolphins get Laramie Tunsil, Minka Fitzpatrick, who I kind of forgot was a Dolphin, and I moved him to corner because they have a horrible corner group. He was a slot corner at some point, so that works. They also get Christian Wilkins back, Robert Hunt, Andrew Van Ginkel, Brandon Jones, a lot of players they recently lost. The Eagles get Raheem Mostert back as their best player. They also get Rasul Douglas. Honestly, not as much as I would have expected, though. The Falcons get Foye Oluokun, Calvin Ridley, which should be fun, and they're gonna have Michael Penix at QB. This is gonna be like one of the first times I've actually seen him get a shot, at least early on in franchise, so we'll see how he does. The 49ers get DeForest Buckner, DJ Reed, Eric Armstead, Trent Brown, Jimmy Ward. The Giants get Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney back, two players that they recently let go that have been doing very well in real life. They also get Julian Love back, Evan Ingram, Odell, which would be more interesting a few years ago, but he's unfortunately regressed. Even Dalvin Tomlinson, like this team has had players, they just don't have them anymore. Also still unfortunately Daniel Jones at QB. But the Jags get Jalen Ramsey, Quincy Williams, who I just kind of forgot was a Jag, Mike Hilton, who I didn't know was a Jag at all. The Jets get Demario Davis back, Geno Smith, who's playing with a good amount of morale, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Leonard Williams, Blake Cashman, Bryce Huff, Frankie Louvu, Jamal Adams, Marcus May. Like, they get some interesting players back, some good, some better than others. The Lions get TJ Hawkinson back, which, by the way, this tight end group is nuts. Hawkinson and Laporta. And one of the more interesting moves of this whole thing is Matthew Stafford back on the Lions. They also get the ghost of Darius Slay, I guess. I mean, he isn't horrible, but not what he used to be. Jelani Tavai, Kyle Van Noy, DeAndre Swift, and the Packers might be one of the most upgraded teams, getting Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, David Bakhtiari, Aaron Rodgers, which honestly might be more of a hindrance, if anything. It would probably be better to just get Jordan Love starting immediately because he's a lot younger, literally 15 years younger. They also get Micah Hyde, but the Panthers get Christian McCaffrey back. Thankfully, we don't have injuries on here, so we will stay healthy for the Panthers. They also get DJ Moore, Brian Burns. The Patriots get Joe Tooney, Kenny Moore, who I didn't know was a Patriot, Jacoby Myers, Shaq Mason, I guess. They have a ton of quarterbacks, but I guess Drake May is still going to be their starter. They get Mac Jones and Jimmy Garoppolo back, but they're all just backups. But the Raiders are going to have an insane pass rush duo, pairing Max Crosby with Khalil Mack. I mean, not prime Khalil Mack anymore, but still really good Khalil Mack. They also get Josh Jacobs back, Amari Cooper. This offense should be pretty good. And oh yeah, they're going to have Derek Carr back, so they'll actually have a quarterback. I mean, debatably. He's been good this year, but I don't know. The Rams don't get a ton of players back, but they do kind of undo the Stafford for Goff trade. I mean, they still had to give up a ton of picks, but they're back with Jared Goff. They also have John Franklin Myers, Cam Akers, Gerald Everett, Samson Ebukam. This definitely isn't the best team, but it's something. The Ravens get Kyle Juszczyk, so now they have two really good fullbacks. I moved Patrick Ricard to defensive tackle because I'm worried they're going to cut him if I keep him at fullback. I feel like anytime I have Patrick Ricard in a Madden video, I end up with him at defensive tackle. I don't know why. But they also get CJ Mosley, Zadarius Smith, Darius Williams, Matt Judon, Gus Edwards, Geno Stone, Deshaun Elliott. Like, they get a good amount of players. Orlando Brown, Marquise Brown, J.K. Dobbins. They're one of the big winners of this. And speaking of big winners, maybe the Saints could be one of the big winners here. They regain Trey Hendrickson. Tyrann Mathieu shouldn't be here. I'll fix that in a second. So picture him back on the Cardinals. But they get Marcus Williams, David Onyemata, Michael Thomas, which is interesting, Caden Ellis, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Marcus Davenport. They get a lot of players back. But the problem with the Saints is they're going to be starting Spencer Rattler at QB. I don't know if it's so much a problem as a question, but he is a 66 overall. So we're going to have to see how he develops. This team could be really good if he does well. It could be really not great if he doesn't do well. Oh yeah, they also get Teron Armstead. I think I just missed him, but I'll send Matthew back to the Cardinals and I'll check if I made any other mistakes. This was a lot of players I had to move. But the Seahawks, honestly, they get okay players back. Bobby Wagner, but he's 34. Will Dissly, QB, Damian Lewis, I guess, Jordan Brooks. But the big thing is, no more Geno Smith. They have Russell Wilson back. So we're going to have to see how he does here. I mean, he does pretty well in franchise a lot of the time, so we'll see. But the Steelers, they get Javon Hargrave, James Conner, Deontay Johnson, Kevin Dotson, and they're going to have Kenny Pickett back at QB. I think some of you know I'm kind of a Kenny Pickett defender. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I have him rated as a 74. I don't know what Madden has him rated as, but I think he was done dirty, so we'll see how he does. But the Texans, they get DJ Reader back. This D-line, by the way. Will Anderson, Jadeveon Clowney, Charles Omenihu, DJ Reader, and Jonathan Grenard. That's crazy. I have Grenard at outside linebacker just because I didn't feel like moving him, and he'll get more playing time, I guess. I don't know. But they also get D-Hop back, Jadeveon Clowney, like I said, Jonathan Grenard, like I said, Justin Reed. But they obviously have Deshaun Watson back. Obviously not going to start, but he's here. Much worse than when he left. And the Titans get Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown back. They also get Kevin Byard, Daquan Jones, Jack Conklin, Robert Spillane, who I forgot was ever a Titan. They're still going to be stuck with Will Levis at QB. I mean, maybe Malik Willis can take over, but I mean, he was not good for the Titans. Who knows? Maybe Marcus Mariota will take over. I don't know. And then finally, the Minnesota Vikings get Danielle Hunter back, Cordero Patterson, but they also get Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. So that's a nice but mostly old receiving core. And no more Sam Darnold. They have J.J. McCarthy as hopefully their starter, but they also get Jake Browning and Taylor Heineke as backups. So do with that information what you will. I don't know. They also get, again, the ghost of Dalvin Cook back. This isn't a great running back group. But all right, y'all have seen the teams. I need to fix a couple things. I'll double check all the rest of the strong safeties. Sometimes I just forget a whole position group. I don't know why. I did that with outside linebackers last time, but everything else looks good. So I'll get that fixed. But like I said, we are the lowest overall team as the Bears at a 77 overall. But the highest overall teams are the Chiefs at an 84 overall, probably predictably. The Ravens at an 84 overall, which also probably makes sense. But also the Cowboys at an 84 overall. Like I said, this is kind of a test for how good teams are at drafting. I mean, it's not perfect because, like, if teams have a quarterback that they signed in free agency, they're obviously not going to be drafting a great quarterback to back him up. So if they lose that guy here, that makes their team overall a lot worse. You know what I'm trying to say? So this isn't like a perfect test of drafting ability, but it kind of is. The Lions are also close at an 83, which also I wouldn't have guessed because I felt like they were horrible at drafting for a while. But all right, let's finally get into this. Like I said, we're going to see how this team does for year one, or how all the teams in the league do for year one. We're going to see if there are any crazy breakouts. I mean, that's the other fun part of this. Guys are getting opportunities that normally wouldn't get an opportunity, especially Spencer Rattler, Michael Penix. And our goal is to fix the Bears because they definitely need it here. So let's just get straight to the end of this first year and we will see what happens. Okay, well, as the Bears, we went 4-13, as we probably should. I was a little scared we were going to do well, which, you know, you want to do well, but it would have been really unrealistic being the worst team on paper here. Caleb Williams definitely wasn't super great, and our leading sack getter was Roy Robertson Harris with 3. Leonard Floyd only had 1. Whatever. But as for the rest of the league, the worst team this year was the New England Patriots at 3-14. You'd think they would be horrible on paper because they've been bad for a few years now, but they really weren't. So I'm surprised they went 3-14, but they were the worst team. Of course, the Seahawks had to be down here, which also surprises me because usually Russell Wilson does well in this game. The Titans and Broncos went 5-12. Those make sense. The Rams, Saints, and Falcons all went 6-11. But the best teams in the league were the Packers and Bills at 14-3. Packers, sure, I guess, but the Bills? Who were their receivers again? I mean, I guess Khalil Shakir developed. They had Zay Jones and Keon Coleman starting. They also have Gabe Davis, who I don't know if he started. Maybe he did. I did not think this team would do that well, but I guess they have pieces. Also, they ended up with different players. I guess we couldn't really keep teams from, releasing and then signing other players, but it's not too far off. Just different safeties. But the Ravens and Chiefs also went 12-5. Those were the two highest overall teams. But the Browns and Jags, I think they were both 78 overalls or something like that. I know the Browns were. I don't know about the Jags. I think they were, though, which we were 77 as the lowest. So I don't know how these teams went 11-6. The Chargers, Panthers, there are some interesting teams that made the playoffs. And the Cowboys, despite being tied for the highest overall team, only went 10-7. The Cowboys just aren't as good in Madden 25 as they were in Madden 24, which is a welcome change. I say that, and then they're going to win the Super Bowl here. Can't wait. But also the Cardinals snuck into the playoffs at 9-8. I'm kind of curious, who are the highest overall teams now? I feel like stuff changed. The Ravens are in 87, and then the Cowboys and Chiefs are in 86. So it's now the Ravens. And I think the Patriots are the new lowest overall at a 78. They just didn't develop at all. Some interesting stuff definitely happened. But finally, for this first year, let's check out the awards. MVP is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to assume it either went to Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers or one of the, really good teams' QBs. It did go to Josh Allen. I was hoping for something interesting. Fairly normal list, which is kind of disappointing. I guess the weirdest one up here is Anthony Richardson. But Offensive Player of the Year for the AFC also goes to Josh Allen. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Khalil Mack, though. And then rookies, I don't know if I'm going to check the rookies because they don't change teams. But Offensive Player of the Year goes to Cooper Kupp. And Defensive Player of the Year goes to Micah Parsons. That was kind of disappointing. I was hoping for a player that changed teams to win an award. Well, I guess Khalil Mack did, but he was the only one. Also, the Saints... Okay, I would be disappointed that the Saints replaced Spencer Rattler, but they went with Jarrett Stidham, and he actually did not that bad. 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 23 picks. Definitely not the best stat line ever, but I mean, if you ignore the interceptions, that was pretty good. It looks like the rookies and I guess just young QBs in general really disappointed, though. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Will Levis, and Bo Nix were all like the 4 worst QBs. Also, it looks like Kirk Cousins got benched. Same with Michael Penix. Okay, this one, that makes sense. What happened with Michael Penix? They signed Jacoby Brissett. Don't know that I would have done that, but I guess Michael Penix wasn't that good to start out, so I don't know. This was a weird simulation. I was hoping some of these guys wouldn't get replaced, but not much I can do about that. But all right, let's get into this first offseason. Now we're going to get into the rebuild, where players are going to start, changing teams again. We basically hit the reset button. Now everything is going to start, I guess, branching out again. We'll see how good we can make the Bears, and we'll see how good some of these teams do, who's like the best over these next few years, and who's the worst. Ooh, and let's see who wins this first Super Bowl. Okay, it's gonna be Panthers and Ravens. What was the Panthers overall again, even after developing? I mean, they're probably decent now. They're an 81. They are 1 overall better than us, and we went 4-13. That's a Madden simulation moment right there. All right, let's see what happens. They're gonna win, probably. The highest overall team versus like the 3rd lowest. Who wins? Okay, thankfully the highest wins. The Ravens win a Super Bowl here. Super Bowl MVP was CJ Mosley. That's kind of fun. Back on the Ravens, of course. Oh, and there's some interesting retirements. Harrison Smith and Adam Thielen retired. Cameron Jordan, Trent Williams, Joe Flacco. Patrick Peterson ended up on the Panthers. Taysom Hill retired. Matthew Stafford retired. Really? He normally goes like a few years in simulation, doesn't he? I guess I don't pay that much attention to him, but the Lions might have a tough one. We'll see. Darius Slay, Demario Davis. There are a lot of them here. I'm not going to go through all of them. Lane Johnson, Von Miller, Kevin Zeitler, Julio Jones, who I'm surprised the Falcons kept because he was like a 74 overall. That's tough. I was hoping Matthew Stafford would stay for a couple more years. But who are we going to have to re-sign? The contracts are going to be a little weird here, but I do see a couple players I want back. We definitely need Tevin Jenkins. This O-line is not the best. We'll go 4 years, 80 mil, and he takes it. And then Jack Sanborn, he has star dev, so sure. But I think that's it. We're going to let Eddie Jackson go. And let's see if there's anyone we can sign in free agency. I wish there was a way to make make it so you could just make free agency not a thing and force players to stay on the team that they're on. I guess that would be like a super niche thing that would only be helpful for this type of experiment, but it would be helpful for stuff like this. But all right, we clearly have some needs with this Bears team. I didn't expect, well, I kind of expected it. I didn't know it would be as bad as it was, but this pass rush was disgusting. So I would argue that's maybe our biggest need. We also need O-line and a receiver, and maybe a QB in the future, because again, Caleb Williams was not great. Luckily for us, there are like no good receivers or pass rushers really. But we'll try to sign Ryan Kelly and Tony Adams. I mean, we have a need at center and safety pretty bad. Who even was our starting center last year? I already forgot. Oh, it was Sam Mustipher, right? Yeah, that's crazy. So these should be pretty big upgrades. We do get both of them. But all right, let's get to the draft. I don't think I'm not gonna show too many draft picks in this rebuild, because like that's not really the point of it, but if I see anyone good, I'll definitely show the picks. But in the draft, we of course pick at number 3. I'm kind of curious about what these top 2 teams are gonna do. It looks like the Patriots take, I think that says outside linebacker. Is it always that blurry, or am I blind? I don't know. And then the Seahawks take someone I was thinking about taking, Emmett McCauley. So both of them go with D linemen. I focus scouted receiver, and there's some pretty good ones. No top 5 talents, but I think we'll go with Parker Carmichael. He doesn't look that good. He looks like this will be a reach, but we have a pretty desperate need for a receiver. We could also just wait and go with Cade Zimmer, who also doesn't look that good. How about there's Cameron Bennett? We'll just reach. I'm sure he's going to be ranked like 24 or something, but Parker Carmichael, sure, I'm fine with it. Rank number 9, okay, better than I expected. We'll take it. Doesn't look like he's going to be the next Kevin White or something, thankfully. Oh, and we also got Cameron Bennett. He's ranked 15. Hidden Dev. I'm surprised he was still available. I guess it isn't the 3rd round yet, and that's where he's projected to go, but hey, we'll take it. Oh, and Tom Davidson. Is 25 the first ranked 1st to 2nd round talent, or is it like 23? I can't remember, because he was listed as a 1st to 2nd round talent, but he's better than I thought he would be. Pretty good draft. I still think we're gonna have absolutely no pass rush, but can't fix it all in one off season. But okay, here's how he did. Pretty good. I keep wanting to call him Peter Carmichael. Who's that? Why do I keep wanting to say that? I don't know. But yeah, he's decent. Being ranked number 9, I thought he would be higher than a 77, but I mean, he was ranked number 9, so I don't know. And then Matt Widmer, I did take a pass rusher. He's just not that good. He's ranked like 52 or something. He looked actually pretty good on paper. He had almost all A or B ratings, but he's fine. And then Cameron Bennett's pretty good, 76 overall. And then Tom Davidson, 75. I also took Pat Brown because he was super strong. He's fine. We picked all hidden devs though, so that's pretty good. But all right, let's get into year 2. We'll see who the highest and lowest overall teams are once again. We'll see how our team's looking, and we'll see how everyone does once again in year 2. But all right, heading into year 2, we are up to an 81 overall, so we're a little better. But I mean, we fixed most of our needs. We got young receivers that should develop super well. I mean, all 3 of our receivers are super young. The O-line should be better. I mean, Braxton, I didn't show it, but Braxton Jones allowed, what, 13 sacks? Yeah, so he's going to be a backup now. We'll try Charles Leno, which I don't know how that makes me feel, but we don't really have much of another choice. And then the defense is mostly the same, just with a couple rookies starting on the D-line, and then Tony Adams instead of Eddie Jackson, so we're better. But I want to see who are the best and worst teams now after the first off season. So it looks like, unsurprisingly, the best team is the Chiefs at an 87 overall. And the Cowboys are an 86. They're 2nd. And then I think the Ravens are 3rd at an 85. So it's mostly the same. But the worst now are the Patriots at a 78, who just had the number 1 pick, and the Titans also at a 78. And the Commanders are a 79, even though didn't they make the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think they'll finish as one of the worst, because that's a pretty young team. I mean, they at least have Jaden Daniels, but we'll see. So still normal good teams and normal bad teams. Like the bottom 3 teams are probably ones you could predict. But all right, let's get into the season once again. We'll hope we're a little better than 4-13, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Okay, we actually finished 7-10, which is probably about fair. Now we had to do some things to get here. We were not doing well at the midseason. We were like 30th for both offense and defense. I moved some linemen around. I benched Darnell Wright for Braxton Jones, and that worked out, but I benched Charles Leno for Tom Davidson, the rookie, and that didn't quite work out. I guess we had a few more sacks this year, though. 6 for Leonard Floyd, 5.5 for Matt Widmer as a rookie. We had a lot of picks, though. We definitely weren't great, but let's see who the best and worst teams were. So the worst was the Cleveland Browns at 4-13. Understandable. Didn't they make the playoffs last year, though? Didn't they go like 11-6? I don't know. The Broncos were also down here. Makes sense. The Patriots were down here. Makes sense. But the Vikings were down here? Are they starting JJ McCarthy, or did they like sign someone else for some reason? I guess we'll check that if I remember. But the Seahawks and Saints also went 6-11, but the best teams, there wasn't really that great of a team. The Chiefs, Cowboys, Packers, and Bills all went 12-5. So pretty much not the exact same top 4 as last year, but similar, plus the Cowboys. The Ravens went 11-6. This has been like pretty realistic so far. The highest overall teams have done the best, and some of the lowest overall teams have done the worst. There have been exceptions, but like the Panthers, but overall better than I expected. Okay, maybe I should take back the kind words a little bit. The Titans were tied for the lowest overall team, and they went 10-7. Don't know about that one, but whatever. Overall, it was solid. But let's check out some yearly awards. MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes. Big surprise. Anyone weird? Not really. I was really hoping for someone like Spencer Rattler to work out. We'll still see. I mean, he might have gotten some playing time and developed. Offensive Player of the Year for the AFC goes to Josh Downs, though. I feel like he wins it a lot. Zay Jones and DJ Chark up there. Bobby Okereke wins Defensive Player of the Year for the AFC, back on the Colts. Actually, a good amount of players that change teams up here. Patrick Queen, Khalil Mack, Bradley Chubb, CJ Mosley. But NFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Devontae Adams with Wan'Dale Robinson at 2 and Olamide Zaccheaus at number 3. Okay, that's interesting. And then Micah Parsons wins Defensive Player of the Year. Of course he does. Have I ever seen him not win NFC Defensive Player of the Year? But I do want to see, were there any weird starting QBs this year? Who was the worst? It looks like Drake May and Russell Wilson. I thought he would do well. Derek Carr also didn't do well. Kenny Pickett. It looks like JJ McCarthy did start. He just didn't do well. I mean, not horribly, but not great. But Bryce Young, 38 touchdowns, touchdown passes, 15 picks. It's not really the same Bryce Young we know. Daniel Jones also up here is one of the best. Okay then. So overall, fairly normal simulation, but also some quarterbacks that did well and didn't do well. But all right, let's see who is going to win the Super Bowl in year 2. It's going to be the Chiefs and Cowboys. Who would have guessed? The classic, the Super Bowl that happened like 3 out of 4 years in Madden 24. Also love that it doesn't say who won it. I wish it showed the score underneath, but the Cowboys do win the Super Bowl here, 35-29. And I mean, those were the 2 highest overall teams heading into the year, so no complaints there. So far, I wouldn't say there's a clear best team. I would say so far the clear worst is probably the Patriots, but I mean, it's been 4 different teams in the last 2 Super Bowls. It would be kind of fun if it was different teams every year, but we'll see. And in free agency, it definitely isn't the best class ever. Ooh, I do want to check though. Did we get any really good dev traits? I would guess no, but maybe a receiver? Ooh, okay. Bennett has Superstar. Did he just have that? I'm assuming he did. Yeah, it looks like he just had Superstar, so that's cool. Glad we took him. And also, Davidson has Superstar. Now, he wasn't very good at tackle, but we'll see. We might give him another chance there because he does have Superstar dev. And then on defense, Pat Brown also has Superstar dev, and it looks like he just had it. Okay, that was a really good draft class. I didn't think it was because I don't think we didn't really get any insanely high overalls or anything, but we did get 3 out of like 5 Superstar devs out of the players we took, so we'll take it. But I don't know if I'm going to do anything in free agency this year. I want to keep the team mostly pure. I don't want to sign too many players from other teams because the point of this whole thing is moving everyone back to their original team. There's just no way to stop them from leaving again. But I do want to keep this mostly as the Bears, just with some draft picks. But if there's anyone, you know, we should sign, then we will. Ooh, how about Grady Jarrett? He's pretty good in this game. He had 11.5 sacks. That would have almost doubled our highest edge rusher from last year. I mean, he's 33, but he does well in this game. So we get him, we'll move him to defensive tackle, obviously. But let's once again get to the draft and we'll see what we can do. But this year, the Browns have the number 1 pick. I'm surprised they're not doing better with Baker Mayfield. How did he do? Did they, like, let him go? No, he's still here. He did well. They just didn't throw it hardly at all. That's interesting. What is their offense? Greg Dortch was their leading receiver. What? He also had 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. Like, okay, maybe I understand why this was the worst team in the league. Also, Myles Garrett only had 7 sacks. That might be the lowest amount I've ever seen him get. This is definitely a team. They had Jake Hummel starting. I mean, maybe not starting, but he got a good amount of playing time. What a roster. Maybe I need to like switch teams midway through this rebuild to try to save whatever's happening there. We'll see. They go with a QB. Why? That guy didn't even look that good. He had a lot of B ratings. Do we need to switch to the Browns? I feel like QB was the last thing they needed. All right. Maybe I don't want to switch to them. Maybe that would be not that fun. But all right, at pick number 9, I think we'll go with Nelson Martin. First round talent. I focus scouted defensive ends. Honestly, he doesn't look that good on paper, but we know he's a first round talent, so he'll be decent at least. He really doesn't look that good though. He only has 1 A rating. I mean, he has elite traits, but he doesn't look insane or anything. And he looks like the best edge rusher though, so we'll take him. Ranked number 20. I was gonna guess 20, but last year I guessed 20 and the guy was actually pretty good. We'll take... I always defend myself when I take edge rushers and it's not good value, but edge rushers just aren't that good in Madden draft classes. You can rarely find, or sometimes you'll find like an 84 or someone ridiculous, but most of the time they're not really worth where they get picked. But we still had to take one because our pass rush was disgusting. But you know what? I might just go with another defensive lineman, Byron Dillon, another first round talent. I just don't really see anyone at any other position that's like that good. I mean, maybe a receiver or something, but we don't need to draft a receiver anymore. Well, this tight end might actually be good. I mean, it's hard to say because he's not scouted, but I might take him later. We'll see. But all right, I'll go with Byron Dillon. Do we need D tackle? Not really, but we might at some point. He's ranked 15 before we even move him to defensive tackle, so that's probably a pretty good pick. But okay, pretty solid draft for us. Our first pick wasn't really amazing, but I mean, Nelson Martin's a better overall than I thought. I mean, the receiver we took last year was ranked number 9. He was a 77 overall. Nelson Martin was ranked 20. He's a 76, so he's barely worse. The only problem is he is 23, but like 84 speed, 91 excel, 84 strength, 81 finesse moves. He's pretty good, at least just in that group of stats. But Byron Dillon was a 76, I think, went up to a 78 at defensive tackle. He has 81 block shedding, 90 strength, 86 acceleration, 75 speed. I guess I never checked his combine ratings. He must have ran like a 4.8 something, 4.7 something, I don't know. And then Ben Luck is fine. He didn't have a dev trade. I also took Scotty Bush, which is a great name. But I do want to check who were the best players. Definitely not Emmanuel Killings. Yeah, the Browns are cooked. I don't know what they're doing. He's a 69 overall. I don't know if he'll ever play for them unless he has like X factor and he really develops. I don't know. I knew as soon as I saw his stats, I was like, that was a terrible pick. Even Taylor Dickens at number 2, he sucks. The Patriots got a good tackle. The Vikings and Seahawks got good receivers, but this wasn't that good of a class. There were only 280 overalls. Gregory Westbrook, a running back for the Jets, which, did they even need a running back? They have Breece Hall, I don't know, and then Shaq Bradfield, a tight end to the Panthers. Interesting. The Raiders also found a pretty good receiver in the 3rd round, Nick Arthur. But all right, let's get into year 3. And I think I have a pretty solid guess as to who the lowest overall team in the league is. We'll see though. But we are now up to an 84 overall. We're definitely improving the Bears. We're still not like one of the best, but I mean, we might be actually pretty close. We've mostly just built this team through drafting too, so that's pretty cool. Now, I don't know how this team is gonna do in simulation because, you know, our pass blocking has been a problem, our passing has been a problem, and our pass rush has been a problem. And those are the 3 things you especially don't want to be a problem. So we might do bad. We did improve the D-line a lot, so at least that could be better. I don't know, but we'll just have to see how we do. But for the rest of the league, it looks like the worst teams are the Rams, Titans, Vikings, and Broncos, all at 80 overalls. 3 out of those 4 maybe make sense. I mean, the Vikings, I'm surprised they're that bad, but also the Rams, I'm surprised they're also only an 80. The Titans and Broncos kind of make sense, but the best is still the Chiefs at an 89 overall. Big surprise. That's boring. The 49ers are an 86. I guess they're second, but I mean, hey, we're not too far behind them now at an 84. But all right, let's once again get into the year. We're overdue for some really weird simulation, like I was gonna say like the Panthers being in the Super Bowl, but I guess that already happened. I guess they didn't win it though, so maybe something like like that'll happen. We'll see. All right, finally, in year number 3, we make the playoffs going 10-7. Ironically, we're going to be playing the Panthers, but it looks like Caleb Williams had a really good year. 35 touchdown passes, only 9 picks. Not that many passing yards, but good year. David Montgomery was also a monster. Still no pass rush. I might change our defensive playbook, but Jalen Johnson, 6 picks, 4 for Brisker. But let's see who the best and worst teams were once again. It looks like there was a really good AFC team because I saw the Chiefs 13-4 only in the wild card, and it was the Bills going 14-3. At least for record, I think they've been the best so far because they went what 13-4, 12-5, then 14-3, something like that. The Cowboys and Chiefs also 13-4. The Jags and Saints went 12-5. The Bengals, Panthers, Giants, and Seahawks 11-6. But the worst team was actually the Commanders at 2-15. I guess they were one of the lowest overall, so that makes sense. Titans 3-14. Falcons and Browns 4-13. Jets 5-12. So it's been kind of similar teams that have been good and similar teams that have been bad. So I guess that makes sense. But MVP, big surprise, goes to Patrick Mahomes again. Bobby Grooms, whoever this is, the Saints drafted him. He's been really good. Almost winning MVP. Caleb Williams up there. Josh Downs wins Offensive Player of the Year again. Tyreek at number 2 back on the Chiefs. Kadarius Toney on the Bengals up there. Don't know about that one. But Max Crosby wins Defensive Player of the Year. NFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Cam Akers on the Saints up there at number 7. And then you'd never guess who wins NFC Defensive Player of the Year. But all right, definitely an interesting year. Still not too weird for simulation, but I guess there were weird teams like the Jags, Panthers, Giants, and Saints that did well. Also, the Broncos made the playoffs despite being tied for the lowest overall in the league at the start of the year. But let's get into the Super Bowl, not get into the Super Bowl, but get to the Super Bowl. And it's going to be Bengals versus Giants. Ooh, why? Are either of those teams good? The Giants are an 84. They're actually decent, but the Bengals are an 85. I guess an 84 isn't that good. There are definitely worse teams, but there are definitely much better teams. Okay, this is the first really questionable Super Bowl for both teams that are in it. But let's see who wins. My guess is, I mean, it should be the Bengals, I guess, but I don't know. It was the Bengals, 28-21. So still, no clear best team, like no repeats of even making a Super Bowl. Eventually one's gotta happen though, right? It's been too perfect so far. I mean, not perfect, but it's felt too normal for Madden simulation. There's no random Commanders Super Bowl win. We need it. But let's see, I want to sign a good free agent this year. What's an even like slight need that we have? I saw a good tight ends in free agency, but nobody that would be that much of an upgrade. Ooh, it looks like David Montgomery really regressed. I mean, he was really good last year, but now down to a 78. You know what? I think I'm just gonna let Grady Jarrett go because he wasn't that crazy and he's 34. He's also wearing 25. Don't love that. Ooh, Trey Hendrickson's here. Oh yeah, he isn't that good in simulation. His best year was 7.5 sacks. I mean, look at that compared to his real life numbers. In the last 4 years, he hasn't had below that, even when he got hurt, I'm assuming. I don't know for sure, but either way, like I said, I want to sign someone. I don't know who. We could go for L'Jarius Sneed. He wouldn't be a massive upgrade, but that would be kind of fun. Ooh, he gets a lot of picks. The Commanders have a big offer though. How does Geno Stone do? He's up to superstar dev, so maybe he does well. Okay, he had 4 picks this year, but the last 2 years he's only had 1 total, and the Jags have a big offer. Never mind. It's hard to sign free agents here because not as many players hit free agency. All right, I wanted to sign someone. We'll just sign Chuba Hubbard. That's not super exciting. Maybe we won't sign him. Okay, we do. We're not like in a desperate need for free agents or anything. It just would have been fun, but oh well. Let's get to the draft once again, and I do think I am going to change our defensive playbook, actually. You already know what I'm switching it to, but all right, let's get to the draft. But all right, this year we don't pick until number 20. The Commanders had the number 1 pick, of course. They went with a pass rusher, it looks like. He didn't look that good. None of them did, but we'll see. I don't really know what I want to do this year, though. I mean, there are good corners, but I wanted a guard. There was a really good-looking guard, but he's already gone. We'll just go with Josh Carlisle. We don't really need a corner. My plan was to get someone and move them to safety, but we still might do that. We'll see. Is there anyone that would be a steal later? Not really. How does Christian Chambers look like? Or how does he look like? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. What does he look like? He has elite speed and acceleration despite only running a 4.41. Not that a 4.41 is bad, but to call that elite is insane. Unless you're like a pass rusher or something. For a corner, that's like good. We'll just take Carlisle. Ranked 13, got him at 20. Does have hidden dev, we'll take it. Our first like good first round pick so far. But I don't really know what I want to do for the rest of this draft. There isn't like... I'm sure there are good players, but there just aren't many more that would really be an upgrade to our team. Let's see, Sharif Phillips looks maybe good, but he also only has C impact block and F lead block, so maybe he's not great. How about Will Sheets? What's your strength? Great. He doesn't look that good, but sure. Ranked 36, he's good, no dev trait, but we'll take it. All right, I'm done picking. We'll see what happened this year. Okay, Carlisle's a 76, Sheets is a 74, and then the CPU picked a 63 overall safety in the 4th round. It at least picked a decent running back, but that was definitely a draft. It also picked 2 running backs. It picked a corner, even though we had already picked one, and a safety. Ooh. Okay, never mind. Jesus Ray is actually good. I did not think he was, honestly. I mean, I didn't really look at him. I just saw it. He had like C tackle or something, which it is the 78, and he's not that good against the run, but as a pass rusher, he looks really good. Also, Aaron Bowie to the Titans, he looks really good at tackle. This looks like it was a really strong class early on. God, there's the guard I wanted. I didn't know he was that good. I focus scouted him, but I didn't look after I focus scouted him how good he actually was. This was a really strong class early on, but all these guys were gone by the time we picked, except the running back, who I guess we could have taken, but like, I never look at running back early on. I wish we got Joseph. I mean, he wasn't even really close to where we picked, but still, that's tough. But yeah, this was a crazy draft class. Also, there were no 77 overalls. That's kind of weird. I don't know if I've ever seen that. But all right, we are now up to an 86 overall heading into the year. We're now one of the better teams in the league, I would guess. Definitely not the best, but close. I feel like I said this exact same thing last year. I don't know. Probably. But yeah, this team is looking pretty good. It mostly just looks like the current Bears. I mean, not really, but close. But we really need our defense to be better this year. Again, new defensive playbook, so hopefully it is, but we'll have to see. We're also going to try Carlisle at free safety. He did go up in overall, so I mean, both up in overall when we moved him from corner to safety. He went from like a 76 to a 7. Then he has developed almost 2 overall at free safety, so he might have a good dev trait. We'll see. But all right, once again, we were horrible in the preseason. We got destroyed in every game, but we'll see how the team does. We might be bad this year, but we'll see. Okay, we once again finished 10-7. I guess that's just going to be our record. I don't know. But we have the Rams in the wild card too at an 83 overall. We definitely should have been better than them, at least just based off roster talent, but they went 11-6. We only went 10-7. What was the problem with our team? Why were we not better? Honestly, I don't really know. We had a top 10 offense and we were 7th for points per game allowed, so maybe we just lost a lot of close games. I don't know. Overall, good numbers though. Nothing, ooh, the tackles weren't amazing. Might bench one of them, we'll see. But this year, the 49ers were the worst team. That's really interesting. Yeah, they've probably been the most disappointing team out of this because they were originally one of the higher overall teams. Not highest, but higher. They have not succeeded though. The Broncos also 4-13. Texans, Falcons, Jets, and Patriots all only 5-12. The Texans have been pretty bad too, but to be fair, they were bad for a while. But this year, the Dolphins were the best team in the league, going 13-4. The Bills also 13-4. The Vikings, the best team in the NFC at 12-5, which weren't they one of the worst last year? So I guess they turned things around here. The Chiefs also 12-5. The Bills, in terms of record, have easily been the best team so far, but they still don't have a Super Bowl win to show for it. So we'll see if that can happen this year. The Commanders went 11-6. Okay, now the simulation's getting really goofy. I mean, not too bad, but still interesting, but it's still the same MVP top 10 as it has been. Well, actually, Justin Fields was up there for the Titans. We let him go because like we've been starting Caleb Williams. This is like the highest I've ever seen him up there for MVP. Actually, I think he got signed by the Rams one time, I think it was, in a rebuild, and he did super well there, but very rarely do I see see him do well. But Caleb Williams at number 10, Kadarius Toney up there again, and Treylon Burks is always up here. I don't know why. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Max Crosby. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown again, and finally, it isn't Micah Parsons. It's Aiden Hutchinson, the other NFC defensive player that always wins Defensive Player of the Year. Can't we get something weird? Like, God, who was it? There was a really weird player in like Madden 17 who did super well. Who was it? Was it Bilal? No, it wasn't Bilal Nichols. I think it was a Raiders player. Oh, you know who it was? I can't remember his name. I think he's currently on the Vikings. I don't think they would have him anymore. Definitely not. It was Jihad Ward, I think. I don't know. I just wish we had someone like that here. Just a random player that did super well here for no reason, but it didn't happen. I'm still so disappointed about Spencer Rattler. I don't know if he would have done well, but I just wish he got a chance. Maybe he will, because I think it's his last year on the Saints, but there isn't really a QB he would start over. But all right, once again, let's see who's going to be in the Super Bowl. I feel like we're finally going to get a repeat. It would be weird if we didn't. Never mind. It's going to be Raiders and Rams. Really? I would guess those are like two of the lowest overall teams. The Rams are only an 83 and the Raiders are an 87, so they're decent, but like not the best. The Rams. Are they the lowest overall team now? Okay, not the lowest. The Patriots are an 82. God. They're second lowest though, and they're in the Super Bowl. That's crazy. All right, hopefully they don't win for realism's sake. They don't. Okay, good. And Super Bowl MVP went to Khalil Mack, our second Super Bowl MVP that, you know, rejoined their old team so far. So that's fun. Hold on, did he retire with a Super Bowl win? I would imagine he probably retired. Tyreek Hill retired. The Cowboys signed Derrick Henry, something they should have done this year. Tony Pollard retired. I feel like there are early retirements here. But either way, this is going to be the final year. We're still waiting to see a Super Bowl repeat, I guess. It's fun to see a different team every year, but I want a clear-cut, like, best performing team. I mean, we can just call it the Bills because they've, I think, had the best record. Either them or the Chiefs, but I want to see a repeat Super Bowl winner. But in free agency, there's some interesting players. Nobody's interested at all for some reason, but I do maybe want to sign some players if we can. Maybe we can't. Okay, never mind. We can't compete for any players here, really. We've really gone like free agent-less for this whole rebuild. Not completely, but close. But all right, we'll go for a couple players in free agency. We'll go for Joey Bosa and Cooper DeJean. I figured this rebuild would be free agency light, I guess. Free agent, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I just didn't think there would be many free agents available. There kind of have been, but just none of them have been interested at all. But we'll see if these two want to sign. We do get both of them. Okay, cool. But let's get into our final draft. We're not going to have a great pick, but we'll see what we can do. But in the draft, we pick at number 21. Of course, the 49ers have the number 1 pick, which, by the way, what are they looking like? They probably won't be the worst team in the league again, because, I mean, they still look good. They just don't really have a running back. Oh, and their O-line is not great. They have a couple good ones, but that's it. You need more than that. I mean, overall, though, other than the holes, this team is not bad. So they'll probably take a backup quarterback. No, they go with a defensive end. Why? I mean, that guy looked really good, if that's the one I'm thinking of, but you had bigger needs than that. I don't know. Wait, that's not even the one I was thinking of. I don't know. Maybe that guy was good too. Whatever. Oh, okay. That was a pretty good focus scout. I focus scouted Joe Bruce and Micah Vick, and both of them are really good. There's also a 20-year-old corner, which I always like to take 20-year-old prospects because they develop insanely quick, but I mean, I'll settle for the top 5 talent. He is elite speed, A-man, a few B ratings. We'll take him. Ranked number 2, got him at 21, so this might not be the best draft class because he didn't look ridiculous or anything, but I mean, we'll see. You never know. And then round 2, is there anyone else worth taking? I mean, there's Vic, Micah Vick. There's a Michael Vick joke somewhere in there. I don't know. This guy's confusing. He looks good, but he also looks horrible at the same time. Gerald Winter, he is like A spec catch, B short route, B medium route, but everything else looks terrible other than, I guess, his catching, maybe. Yeah, sure, why not? We need receiver depth. Oh, he's good. First round talent, ranked 23, and he has hidden dev. All right, that's my mic drop. I'm done. But here's how we did in our final draft. Joe Bruce, 80 overall. We'll take it. it. Gerald Winters a 76. And then maybe I should have kept picking because the CPU picked a 68 overall corner, which we had already taken. And then it took a QB who's 24 and not very good. And then it took another receiver and then another receiver and then another DB. I love the draft logic in this game. It doesn't know that there are more than like 3 positions in football. But, ooh, it looks like Joe Bruce was technically tied for the best player in the class at an 80. Braden Peterson for the Jets and Brett Oldham for the Vikings were all 80s. A few 79s. How good? Benjamin Hudson was good. Who went number 1? Oh, I'm still sorted. Okay. John Sherman, he's a 76. So yeah, Hudson was better, but not that much better. Edgeton. Never seen that last name. That's a cool one. But all right, let's get into the final year. We'll see how our team's looking, and we will see who the best and worst teams are heading into year number 5. But here we are heading into the final year, now up to an 88 overall, which we're probably really close to the highest overall team. I know the Chiefs were a 91 at the end of last year, but they might have gone down a little bit because Tyreek Hill did retire. So actually, there's a chance we might be the highest overall team. We'll see. Just again, mostly through drafting. So I'm feeling pretty good about the team. We should be good. I don't know if we actually will do well, but we should do well. We have an 88 offense, 88 defense. We're an 88 all the way across the board, but I don't know. I'm checking standings for the preseason. I meant to look at overalls. The lowest overall team is a tie between the Cleveland Browns at an 82 and the New England Patriots at an 82. It looks like they have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's definitely regressing here. They should probably move him back to safety. The Browns have 73 overall Cooper Kupp. That's interesting. It looks like the Cardinals have a 64 overall X Factor. It's also interesting. But yeah, those are the 2 lowest overall teams, Browns and Patriots. But who's the highest? Okay, underwhelmingly, it is still the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still a 90, even though Tyreek Hill retired, of course. But we're tied for second at an 88. The Lions are also an 88, and I think that's it, actually. So yeah, we're top 3, arguably second. We probably will be second for sure by the end of the year because we're still a pretty young team. We were horrible through the preseason again. We're not a preseason team apparently. But all right, let's get to the end of year number 5, the final year, and we will see what happens and if we can finally get a Super Bowl either repeat winner or at least a repeat Super Bowl maker. Okay, well, actually, before I reveal how we did and how the rest of the league did in the final year here, again, if you haven't already, be sure to take a second to leave a like. Again, I put a lot of time into this, so I would appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. It tells YouTube that people enjoy this video. Y'all know the deal, I'm sure. I don't know. I would appreciate it though. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I mean, if you liked this is what most of my videos are like. And again, let me know any fun ideas y'all have down in the comments. Something similar to this if you can come up with something, or whatever you can come up with. Just let me know. But in the final year, we are up to an 89 overall. Who is this? Julian Galvin. Just a random X Factor safety. I mean, that's why are we stuck? Why is it not? Hello? Why can't I scroll anymore? Did the game crash? It might have. It's not frozen, but it's not letting me do anything. But anyways, in the final year, we finished 12-5 and we made the playoffs, obviously. Still no first round bye. We didn't get one throughout the rebuild, but that's fine. The Jags went 13-4. Okay. But the worst team this year was the Steelers at 4-13. Patriots and Jets also went 4-13. The Giants and Falcons 5-12, and then the Bucks and 49ers went 6-11. But the best team was the Rams at 13-4. I don't know why they're good. I think they have a good defensive playbook or something. I don't know. I've tried it before and it was horrible, but people tell me it's good sometimes. The Bills were also up here once again. They're just always 13-4. And the Jags were up here once again. But the Ravens, Bengals, and of course we went 12-5. And then the Cowboys and Chargers went 11-6. It's been a lot of similar teams every year that do well and don't do well. Like, I feel like with the CPU, it's hard for teams to become good. I mean, they can, but it's hard for them to become good on paper. I mean, sometimes they'll just randomly do well, but it's a lot of similar teams that were bad at the start on paper that are still bad now, like the Titans. Which are the Titans the lowest overall team? It's them and the Patriots and the Cardinals, which were 3 of the lowest overall teams to start this out. And the best is still the Chiefs. They were like the best to start this out too. But we're up there at an 89. The Lions are also 189, who we're going to be taking on this week. I'm a little surprised we didn't catch the Chiefs, but they did well, so oh well. But MVP goes to Van Treese Hewitt. I've never seen that. I feel like there are a lot of repetitive names in Madden, but there's some new ones every once in a while. He wins MVP for the Rams. I'm surprised it wasn't Patrick Mahomes again, or Josh Allen. But Josh Downs wins Offensive Player of the Year for like the third year in a row. Max Crosby wins Defensive Player for like the third year in a row. Justin Jefferson wins Offensive Player of the Year. And Nick Bosa wins Defensive Player of the Year. Chris Barnes up there. Somehow weaseled his way back onto the Cardinals. But all right, for the final part of this video, of this experiment, of this rebuild, whatever you want to call it, let's get into the, we'll get to the Super Bowl and who is going to be in it. Any repeat teams? Surely we'll get one eventually, right? We do finally get our first repeat team, but it's one I'm not that happy to see because they're not that good on paper. I mean, they're better now, but they're still not great. It is the Rams. They were the 1 seed and they destroyed the Cowboys in the conference championship. We're going to have the battle for LA as the final game of this experiment. That is the last thing I would have expected to see here. The last game I would have expected. But all right, for the final time, let's see who wins the Super Bowl here. It is gonna be, well, that's a little underwhelming. The Rams absolutely destroy the Chargers 24-3.